Up everybody all around the world? It's Silas Kingdomnaire King IV here, guys, and I want to talk about Jeremiah. This is going to be short, sweet, and I want you to eat this. I want you to read this in Jeremiah chapter 20, start at verse 7. It talks about Jeremiah's, right? Jeremiah, the prophet. It talks about Jeremiah, his unpopular ministry, right? Guys, I want you to know that when you're doing what God called you to do, everybody's not going to be supportive of what you're doing. You got to keep going. Just like Jeremiah right here. His ministry was unpopular, right? But he was doing what God told him to do. And when you're doing what God tells you to do, just like I'm reading here, you're going to feel something inside of you that's like fire that it can't be burnt out. Right? When God puts a gift, a dream inside of you, it's going to be like fire shut up in your bones, and it's going to have to come out. Even if it feels like it's unpopular, even if your ministry feels like it's unpopular, even if your business feels like it's unpopular, whatever it is you're going through, it might feel like it's not working. But I'm telling you it's working. Like I'm doing these videos every day. I can't keep quiet. All these videos on my YouTube because God put something in me that has to get out. Right? And that's the same with you. Even if people aren't watching you, guys, I know a Christian artist that I met them, I got a chance to talk with them on the phone. They're an artist band. They now get over millions of views. But when they first started, nobody even showed up to their concerts. Nobody showed up to hear them, right? Couple people here and there. It was unpopular, but now it's popular. Right now, everybody. But how did it start? It started because they had a purpose given from God, and they let nobody shut off that fire. They let nobody put water on their fire. They kept doing it. And that's what I'm here to show you. So in Jeremiah, it talks about Jeremiah's unpopular ministry. In Jeremiah chapter 20 verse 7, it says, he said, "O Lord, you induced me and I was persuaded. You are stronger than I and have prevailed." So Jeremiah was getting depressed because nobody was, hearing what he was saying. His ministry was unpopular. He was getting depressed. He said, "I am in derision daily. Everyone mocks me." He's doing what he loves, but everyone's mocking him. Right? He said, "For when I spoke, I cried out. I shouted violence and plunder, because the word of the Lord was made to me a reproach and a derision daily." So he was saying that I'm doing this work for you, Lord, but I feel like it's not working. Right? He said, I feel like it's not moving. I feel like my ministry isn't going anywhere. I feel like my business isn't prospering, Lord, but I'm doing what you told me to do. Then I said, "I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name." That's what Jeremiah said about the Lord. He knew he was doing the will of God by speaking about the gospel, right? Prophesying. And then all of a sudden he getting depressed because his ministry is unpopular. And he's talking about, you know what? I'm not going to mention the name of the Lord no more. And then he goes on to say this, nor speak of any more in his name. He said that. Then all of a sudden he said, "But." Whenever you see the word "but," remember in Matthew 6:33, it says, "But seek the kingdom of God." It's stopping whatever you was just hearing. So all of a sudden, his demeanor just changed. He said, "But his word was in my heart like a burning fire." All of a sudden, he was just depressed. He was just sad. And all of a sudden, he said, "But his word." He was about to quit his ministry. He was about to quit his business. He was about to quit what God told him to do. And then he goes on to say, "But his word was in my heart like a burning fire, shut up in my bones. I was weary of holding it back." He couldn't hold it back. He would get sad if he held back what God told him to speak. That's when you know you called to do something, when you get sad for not doing it. When you get weary for not doing that business. When you get weary for not singing, if you're a singer and songwriter, you get weary for not doing what God. When you get weary, that's a clear sign that you're out of what God told you to do. You're out of his will, right? Because he wants you to be happy. And then he says, "So his word was in my heart like a burning fire, shut up in my bones. I was weary of holding it back and I could not." See, when God calls you to do something, you can't hold it back. You can't hold it back. It's unstoppable. It's in you and it must come out, no matter what it looks like. And he goes on to say, "For I heard many mocking, fear on every side." People were mocking Jeremiah. Report, they said, and we will report it, right? They mocking Jeremiah, right? All my acquaintances watch for my stumbling. This is what Jeremiah is talking about, his unpopular ministry. He was sad, and then he goes on to say, right, he said, but his word was in my heart like a burning fire, shut up in my bones. Right? He was sad, and then all of a sudden he talking about, I can't hold back what God put in me. Even though my ministry is unpopular, even though there's fear all around me, even though people are mocking me, they don't believe I'm a prophet, they don't believe I'm doing what God told me to do, it gotta come out of me, right? He says, all my acquaintances watch for my stumbling and saying, perhaps he can be induced. Then we will prevail against him, and we will take our revenge on him. Then I love this part right here. He said, but, remember that word but, here it goes again. That means something is shifting, something is changing, a new perspective. But the Lord is with me. All of a sudden, he was sad, he was complaining, he didn't know what to do. And he goes on again to say, but the Lord is with me as a mighty, awesome one. Therefore, my persecutors will stumble and will not prevail. Right? People want to destroy his ministry. Right? They will be greatly ashamed, for they will not prosper. The people that's coming against Jeremiah, their everlasting confusion will never be forgotten because they're coming against the man of God. But, O Lord of hosts, you who test the righteous and see the mind and heart. God looks at the mind and heart. Let me see your vengeance. He goes on to say, let means allow, right? Allow me to see your vengeance. Vengeance is payback, right? It's making everything right. It's justice. Let me see your vengeance on them, for I have pleaded my cause before you. Right? He came to the Lord with his petition. And guys, the Lord blessed Jeremiah, right? But Jeremiah was sad, and I'm here to tell you, you might be feeling sad and wanting to quit. But I want to let you know, if it's in you, like fire in your bones that can't be shed, don't you stop working your ministry. Don't you stop doing what God called you to do. I'm doing these videos every day because God called me to this, right? If I stop talking, if I hold back on what God told me to do, I'm going to get weary for not doing it. I'm going to be sad if I don't get on here and do what he told me to do, right? So guys, I want you to meditate on Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 7 through verse 12. It talks about Jeremiah's unpopular ministry and how he was about to quit. And then all of a sudden he said, but his word was in my heart like a burning fire, shut up in my bones. I was weary. He said, I'm weary. I was weary of holding it back, and I could not. When God calls you to do something, you can't hold it back. When he tells you to be a singer and a songwriter, to work on, you can't hold that music back. If you are holding back what he told you to do, I guarantee you're sad. It hurts to hold back what God has put in you, because it's supposed to be seen on earth as it is in heaven, guys. You are a heaven carrier on the earth. You are supposed to be demonstrating heaven on earth. So God, whatever God called you to do, whatever ministry, keep working it. Keep doing it. Keep going. No matter who's around you. God sees the people that are around you that's trying to stop you. I'm telling you, it's going to hurt more if you quit than if you keep going. If it's hurting now, if you quit, you're going to be really hurting. It's going to be hurting really bad, Jose. If you quit doing what God told you to do, you're going to be in so much pain. You're going to be so weary. But if you do what he told you to do, I guarantee you he's going to take you to the top. I guarantee it. There's no doubt in my mind what God can do. If he did it for one, he can do it for another. There's no doubt. No doubt. So guys, I love you. It's Silas Kingdomnaire King IV. All these videos on my YouTube, youtube.com/SilasKingMusic. And every day, I got to give a fresh word from heaven straight to you and even to myself. Because I need to hear this too. I got to keep going. Right? It encourages me. And if I can encourage me, I can encourage you. So guys, I love you. Later, brother. Got to believe that thing and keep going. Don't get weary. Later.